I remember days waiting outside the store at 6:30 till they would open so I could go in and steal me a Four Loko. Insanity.
Welcome to the Recovery Idiot. My name is Leroy. I'm a recovered alcoholic addict. I'm here today with my good friend Brian. And there's a couple important Brians in my life. And this is who I refer to as Jail Brian because I met him in jail. And there's some people that made a big difference in my life, and he's one of them because my plan when I got out of jail, honestly, was to go to my wife's house and burn it down. And if she was inside, I was okay with that.
True story.
And he decided to, tell me to do this thing called praying and get into this program and kind of changed my mind a bit. I don't want to light fires anymore. So, this is my good friend Brian.
How you guys doing?
So, where are you from and how'd you get here?
Well, I'm from Dayton, Ohio, a little town called Xenia, right outside of Dayton.
Xenia?
Yeah.
That's right. I worked there before.
I came to Florida to get clean and sober, and it only took me about 20 years.
Yeah, he got me beat. I think it took me 13.
Well, it took me 20 years in Florida, so it actually took me a lot of years, but I must be a masochist.
No, I think everyone comes to Florida to get sober. It's just sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly.
Yeah, I remember I'm in Daytona Beach. I was celebrating. I had about 20-some days sober. I'd never been sober very much, except when I did time, and that was never really sobriety. I think I stayed stoned when I was in prison in Ohio. But I remember I decided I was going to have some drinks. I went out drinking, and next thing you know, I got in a bar fight. Oh, it was a mess. And I woke up in the morning, they was talking about I was facing 50 years.
50 or 15?
Yeah, 50. And I'm like, what? Where am I at? You people must be insane. Where I grew up, we got signs that say, we will not call 911. And they mean it. Down here, they like to start fights with you and then call the police. So, I got hit with a bottle, and I just in turn started hitting everything around me. I woke up, had 3 ag batteries and a battery on a Leo, which is law enforcement officer for people who don't know.
I think most of the people watching know.
Well, I imagine so.
We have a certain clientele. We know about the charges.
So that was my experience with sobriety. I had about almost 30 days, I think, and didn't go too well. Seems like every time I start drinking, something bad seems to happen.
So what was some highlights of your life before Florida? What got you to the position you decided you need to come to Florida to get sober?
Oh, my God. It was off the chain. I grew up, and it was fun. People always talk about they didn't have no fun drinking and drugging. I don't know. They must be crazy.
Yeah,
I had a great time. It kept me doing it for a long, long time. I remember growing up, just smoking pot, drinking on the weekends, parties. It was a blast. Everybody I knew at that time did it. We all just partied. Started selling a little bit of reefer, and just having a good time. And not a lot of trouble, but hell, by the time I was 16, I had a drug trafficking charge. And sent me to juvenile prison. And I don't know, it never really got much better than that.
So I remember an interesting story you told once about your drinking in Ohio. I believe it had something to do with the wrong way on a highway.
Oh my God! Let me see. It's 7 years up. Oh yeah, statute of limitations is up on that one.
That's right. We can talk about anything.
Well, good. Yeah, I remember when I got a job. I was living in Dayton, actually in Huber Heights, and I just got out of prison. And I decided that when I got off, I hit the bonus that day. I sold more than anybody. And so I got a $200 bonus plus my sales for the day. And I stopped at a bar called The Crunch. Right there, that's what was the name of it. And it was a pretty nice place. They served dinner and everything. And I had about 5 double shots and 5 beers. And the barmaid, I'd probably been there about 20 minutes, but the barmaid knew me. She was like, Brian, you're going to have to go. I'm like, what? She's like, yep, you're up talking to everybody and their families. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not causing no trouble. She said, I already see the hustle coming alive, and you got to go. Finish that drink. Don't talk to nobody else. So I jumped in the car, and I just got this Mercury Cougar of my mother, and I bought it from her, and I jumped in it, and I decided to head towards the highway. I was thinking about maybe getting some cocaine, and I seen this bar off to the side. It's on Needmore Road. It's called Need One More. So I pulled on in there, and I seen this girl coming out. She had flowers and stuff. I was like, "What are you doing, selling flowers?" I was like, "Any girls in there?" She's like, "Yeah, there's a couple." I was like, "Well, give me 2 roses," So I went in there and walked up to the girls' table and sat down and gave them both a rose. And next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, you know where to get some cocaine?" I was just on my way to get some. He's like, "You want some money?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. I got this." So I'm right there by 75, and I jump on 75, and I start heading south, and all of a sudden I seen signs said wrong way. I was like, "Oh my God." Well, I don't follow directions very well, especially when I'm a few in, and I could have just turned around, backed up, and did he know I was coming? I could head back up the ramp and crossed over to the other side. But I had this great idea. Well, I'll just head on down here onto the highway and cut across the median and jump in with traffic heading the other way. I was heading down to old project called Parkside. It's not even there. People don't even go in there. I'm thinking the ambulances. They won't deliver pizzas, mailmen. They do all that stuff up front. Cops don't even go until there's 10 of them. But anyways, they shut that place down. But I was on my way there, and so I get down on the highway to cut over, and I realize there's a wall. Oh my God. Needless to say, it didn't end very good. That old head-on collision, and luckily no one was hurt. And banged my head up a little bit, but I do feel bad about that these days. My mom even lied for me, and my mom was not one to lie. So, she said, she blamed me for years. Well, everything bad started happening in my life after I lied for you about that, da-da-da-da-da. But, when we're drinking and drugging, we really don't care about no one but ourselves.
I think about that when I was called a menace to society by the judge this last time. He said all I did was get in a car accident. And I didn't think it was a big deal because all I did was wreck my car and all I did was hurt myself. But at the time, I didn't realize just how easy it is to accidentally kill some other people when we're on the road fucked up. And I used to do that all the time. I think 5 or 6 of the worst accidents I've been in where I totaled cars. Never got charges, but I was definitely fucked up every time.
Well, I remember when I met you. I remember that, speaking of, I don't know how I'm still alive. Definitely there's a God. And he does love fools and drunks and addicts, evidently. But I remember the night, it was right before I met you, I was with this girl, and she was at the truck stop, and I'm in her car, and I'm waiting on her. And so next thing I know, I decide to take a little ride back into the back parking lot and find her.
And your license was valid at the point,
Oh,
right?
Absolutely no license whatsoever. And they don't really play down here in Florida.
No.
So I decided I can't get around to the back of the lot, so I go through the, little, grass area. They have a dog park there now. You can't really drive through there out there on Okeechobee. So I go across the lot, and I'm looking up, and I'm trying to find her, and I decide I got to go back to the front of the building and park so she will find me when she comes out. I'm in her car. So I go around, and there's an Arby's there, so you can't get out. So I'm like, damn. So I had to go all the way to the back of the lot and get out on Kings Highway and come back around Okeechobee to the front of the store. So I get out there on Kings Highway, and I'm driving, and I get up to the light. I've been drinking. Oh my God, have I been drinking? I got 2 Four Locos laying in the seat, one in the console. I've been drinking vodka and eating Xanaxes all night, smoking dope, and I'm in this girl's car. So I get up to the light, and that's all I remember. Next thing I know, I was at a red light. I had my turn signal on, and the cop comes up. He's banging on the window. Man, I got it in drive, and I got my foot on the brake to stop. I guess I sat through a couple green lights as well. And he said, "Hey, put the car in park." And I got the window. Oh, I just looked down. I know I'm in trouble. And I looked down, and I got 2 Four Locos laying in the passenger seat, one in the console and a cup. So I put it in park. He's like, "Roll the window down." I rolled that. Turn the car off. So I turned it off. And he says, he said, "You drinking?" So I reached down, I grabbed the drink, and I just downed it because I know I'm going to jail. Got done drinking. He had asked me, he said, "You drinking?" I downed it. I looked up at him. I said, "Why, are you buying?" Man started laughing. I tell you, was probably the coolest officer I ever had. He said, "You don't want to take a breathalyzer or nothing, do you?" I was like, "Absolutely not." I sat down on the curb there and waited for them to do their thing, and here comes this girl walking looking for her car. They tried everything to get her to press charges on me, and she just looks at me like, "You dumbass." She got like $100 bill doing this to me. We're supposed to go get a hotel or whatever else. But yeah, interesting. I don't know. It hadn't been easy just to let my foot off that thing. So, we laugh about it and we joke about it. But I tell you what, bro, dangerous. We don't realize that the people that we're putting at risk, not only our own life, but other people's as well.
Yeah, I could never understand why people made such a big deal about me crashing my cars. And now looking back, the amount of people that I know that have died from accidents that weren't under the influence. It's really easy to die when you're driving a vehicle sober. Just the stuff that we did fucked up. I mean,
Oh my God, you don't even know about the wrecks I've had. Stuff just retarded shit.
when I talk to my mom sometimes, she'll bring up an accident that I forgot. Like a car I just completely forgot. Like, remember the white Honda? What you did to that? I rear-ended a tractor trailer with rebar on it. So when I rear-ended it, the rebar that was hanging off with the little orange flag went through the window, through the passenger seat. So I had been over another foot, that would have went into me, and I wouldn't be here today. But that's the stupid shit that we used to do all the time. And somehow we're still here. So that last time...
Kind of makes you wonder why we're still here. Some of these
apparently
people-
it's to help some of these
ain't.
other idiots that don't want to fucking listen
my
to the
God.
shit we've been through.
You know, I think it's almost impossible to help anybody unless they want to help themselves. You know, my dad, he wouldn't even talk to me. He said he wouldn't talk to me until I got a year sober. I don't think he would have unless I was in the hospital. This time then I actually got about 8 months. I've never had this much time. I think one time in my life, but, you know, it's nice to not have to worry about, you know, going to jail, you know, being completely broke and not having a dollar to spend. You know, it's
See, I don't have to worry about crashing cars, but
Oh my God!
At
I don't
2
have to
years-
worry about crashing cars anyway. They don't let me drive. So.
as I was sober 2 years ago, I was driving and I got hit by the drunk driver. So I thought that was God being a little ironic.
It's kind of crazy how we lose perspective. I'm like, why won't these people let me drive? Probably because you got DUIs. You drive with no license, wrecking the shit. You know.
No, I paid a lot to get my license back. I don't think Florida's giving you another chance.
Well, actually, I think they will. I just got to do a lot of stuff. It's going to cost me a lot. And I'm going to tell you something. If anybody decides to come to Florida and they just want to live the party life, I recommend you stay wherever you're at.
And stay out of the 19th Circuit, because
Oh, my
Okeechobee,
goodness.
Martin County, St. Lucie County, they will put you away for years.
Hey, I got my second DUI. It was a misdemeanor. My third driving under suspension, they gave me 5 years in prison. 5
There's
years.
stuff that I got arrested even in Palm Beach and got let go because they didn't feel like processing on Gun Club. And I spent the night at Gun Club. That was with a large amount
Listen.
of drugs. And then St. Lucie County, they want to give me 20 years or even a lesser amount. Like, don't come to this part of Florida
Oh, my
and
God.
do dirt.
Listen, what we used to do up in Dayton, Ohio. My dude, I had a friend, Davy Jones, called him Jonesy. Oh, God rest his soul. I heard somebody gave him a hot shot and he passed. This disease definitely kills, but I remember we used to like put money in to buy a car for $300 or $400. Neither one of us got a license. And we should just call them throwaway cars because you could drive and drive and drive. And if the police did pull you over, if you did go to jail, you'd get you'd get a driving under suspension, but you'd get dropped to
Just
no
like a
operator's
ticket.
license, and you'd get out for a fine. But they would keep the car. They would tow it. If you didn't have insurance on it and proof of insurance and a license, you couldn't get it out of tow. So we just call them throwaway cars.
Yeah, when I lived in Kansas City, you could, any corner, there'd be like 500 different cars. And if you got pulled over, you just had to go to the DMV or whatever it is, and I'd print up a fake insurance card and just give it to them at the date of appearance. Nothing ever happened. I went from Kansas City, where I kind of ran from the cops in Jersey, ended up in Kansas City, had to run from police out there, come to Florida. I'm like, well, I'll just do it all over again. Big fucking difference. The law in Florida does
They don't
not
play.
play.
No, they don't. And you know, it's funny. I've been in prison quite a few times, and which is definitely something I'm not proud of. Directly resulted from my drinking and my drug use. But I remember the desperation of out there partying hard. We're speaking about the throwaway cars, and me and my friend Jones. It brought up a memory. I remember we'd be driving around, and we did crime, to get money. We stayed high. We stayed drunk. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot to stay high and drunk. I tell you, it's a lot easier going to work and staying sober. It's hard to get sober.
And you
But-
seem to have more money when you're not getting high and working.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I remember driving with him, and he would look over at me, and he'd be tired. We'd be up for days, and he'd look over at me like, damn, Brian, it's about time for a tune-up. And what he meant by a tune-up was it's about time to catch a case, go lay down, get our mind, body, and soul right. That was the rehab we had. And all we learned how to was not get caught next time or to be a little slicker. And, bottom line, you can't out-slick God. God has a way of getting your attention no matter what you're doing. You still got that Bible I gave you?
Right there. And there's actually
yes, it is.
a letter in it that you gave me before you left.
Excuse me, I don't even remember what I wrote in there.
So God obviously wanted us to meet because not only did we end up in the same county jail, but we ended up in the same drug program. And I got in the drug program because I kind of wanted something different. I met a guy and I kind of started to pray, and I realized, those people in the program know what they're talking about. So I got in the drug program, but when I got there, I was still, I'd say, spiritually sick and a complete fucking mess.
Oh, you didn't think God had no dealings with you?
No,
you weren't on his team.
I believed in God, but I didn't think God believed in me.
I know,
and I didn't think there was any hope. And when we met, you spent a lot of time talking to me and going through this recovery Bible together, and you told me.
I'm surprised, like I said, that you still have it. That's amazing.
I took that
makes
very
me feel
serious.
good, actually.
Here's a true story, and I told a lot of people this. The first time you sat down on my bunk and you were like, I said, I don't know how to pray right. And you told me this format, how to pray. Like, God, thank you for giving me this. Thank you for these people in my life. Please help me be better at this thing. And I've started to pray like that every night. But since you were the first one, when I hear it in my head, the voice in my head is you. So I had to hear that weird Ohio accent in my head for 5 years as I go down the prayer.
By the way, go Buckeyes.
But yeah, you made a big difference, and you even wrote something that you gave me before you left because I got to go to a halfway house.
I don't even remember what it says, but we're going to see. I'm going to read this for you. Yeah, that's when I got to 5 years. Remember, I went to the drug program. I thought, well, I always thought I was slick, I'll get into the drug program in jail. I've already done 2 years on a driver's license. I had a technical violation. And I thought, well, worst case scenario, they give me 3. I do another year. They gave me the whole thing to 5. I remember when I came back in there, ain't nobody could talk to me for a couple hours. Let's see here. This is the letter I wrote to you, and you kept in your Bible.
Yeah, and every time I read it, I cry. So let's see if I cry from you reading it.
Just remember, I said, Leroy, just remember your disease wants to kill you, and God wants to bless you. You can't serve both. If it even sounds like a good idea to pick up, remember, God saved your life last time. Don't tempt fate. If you remain clean and sober and continue to seek God, you will have a life second to none. If you keep God and sobriety number 1 in your life, everything else will become first class. I believe in you, bro. Just remember, there is nothing in this life that a drink or a drug won't make worse. Your bro in Christ, Brian. Wow, that's pretty cool that you kept that. And it's ironic. It was I wrote that letter on the back of a poem. The lady that worked in there, remember I wrote this poem about our disease, and she, what was her name? She had all the different kinds of shoes.
Miss Valentina?
No, it was she was a new lady. She was kind of a
lesbian?
Butch looking lady.
Miss,
I didn't want to say that. I didn't
Lynn?
want to offend her because
She's a lesbian.
Yes, she is. She was a nice lady though. She
Miss Lynn.
Miss Lynn. She took the poem that I wrote, and she actually typed it up for us. Let me see if I can even remember what this
I'll
says.
be able to scan that and put this on the video.
Well, let me read it. Blocked from the light by the chaos that surrounds me, refusing to seek help, the insanity astounds me. Staying numb, refusing to feel, laughing at death, but the pain is real. Smashing all the love that stands in my way, creating my own prison day after day. Laughing at danger, but crying inside, running away with nowhere to hide. I have the answer. I'll just drink more. I don't have a problem. This is my cure. Oblivion is my medicine, so I don't have to feel. My life's falling apart, but it's no big deal. I look in the mirror and I hate what I see, but I can't give up or I'd be weak. I must fight harder if I plan to win. But who am I fighting? The battle's within. A moment of clarity, so I hit my knees. I scream out to God, just saying please. I give you the bottle. I give you the dope. Now I feel peace. Now I have hope. Divine intervention, or so it seems. A spark is awakened. So is my dreams. I keep on praying, thanking him again. All I had to do was surrender to win. Wow, that was deep. I had forgot about that kind of. I got a couple copies. at the house. But it's amazing that I felt like that then, and I wanted to stay clean and sober so bad and seek God. And I got out of prison and I went back to it again. It just shows how powerful that this disease is, alcoholism and drug addiction. And I tell you, until I was willing to put in the work, nothing changed. I mean, I could put maybe 30 days sober, but I had no defense against the first drink. I remember getting in an argument with the old lady, and I'd be walking up the street, heading to the liquor store, and something in my head was saying, Brian, this is not a good idea. And I would immediately turn that off. There was no stopping me when I got to that point. And, they used to say in the meetings, I've been to so many meetings, they say, I used to hear how it works, and I asked the guy, why do you read that every time we have a meeting? He said, because that's how it works. I said, I know what it's called, but why do we read it? Because he said, that's how it works. So, this time, and I also never heard really, I heard it, but they say, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Wow. And they say that Bill, one of the founders of AA, originally had that down as never have we seen a person fail in the first edition. Somebody thoroughly followed our path. So I thought, well, damn, I'm a gambler. And I like to play the odds. And rarely failing seemed like a pretty good idea. And this time around, I was beaten down to the point of reasonableness. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to give it 1 year. I'm going to give it 1 year, and I'm going to do everything I can in that year. I'm going to do what these people have done before me. I'm going to do the work. And them 12 steps are, they're amazing because...
That's the thoroughly followed part.
I thoroughly followed the path.
You have to do the steps.
And it works. And it's amazing to have a normal life. I can't say that, I say, my life now is better than I could ever imagine. Well, I can imagine it being a little better right now. But, I'm working at it. And I tell you, I have a decent relationship with my family. I'm flying up to Ohio here in a few weeks, actually, to try to start over there. I want to try to get into being a drug counselor. I would like to help people. A friend of mine, Adam, asked me to go out and speak at the Detox here in Stuart, Florida. And I went out there, and I had not really gave my story before. And I didn't talk a lot about, all the drinking and drugging that I had done, because we've all done that. But, I spoke, and I remember when I got done, this girl, she had tears in her eyes. She was like, oh, thank you so much. I can relate so much, it's given me hope. And I remember the feeling I had, not because of the recognition, but because I was able to help someone else. And, for so long, all I cared about was me. So, like I say, I'm going up to Ohio, and I'm going to look into, I have a friend who is involved, actually I have a couple that is involved in the, in treatment and helping people, stay clean and sober. And, I want to get into that. And I might take going back to school a little bit, but hell, I'm 53 years old. I don't want to keep having
that far behind.
I don't want to keep having a jackhammer in my hand or a shovel and a hammer and that's getting a little old, a little tough on the old body sometimes.
That's one of the most important things about, I think, people like us helping other people like us, because I had always tried to get sober, but I never really seen anyone do it that I could relate to. And then I met you, and I was like, wow, this guy is probably more of a criminal than I am. Definitely been to prison in Florida more times than I've been arrested. I can relate. And what this guy saying...
Allegedly.
Oh, you can Google it. You can see our court records.
Absolutely. It's terrible.
But when the first time you told me all the stuff you did and what a difference just believing in God meant, how we all have a purpose, we were saved for a reason, it just made sense, because I was like, well, if somebody like you can feel that way, maybe I can do it.
Well, I've seen something in you, it's in your eyes,
I don't know how you seen that.
Well, it was kind of, I could see that you were broken and you were at a point in your life where it was either throw it all away and just keep going to the bitter end, or, you wanted something different, or you wouldn't have been in that drug program. And the answer is God. I don't, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I asked my sponsor one time, I said, well, why do I need to get a sponsor? Because I'm one of the people like to argue. Oh, they don't say nothing in the big book about sponsor. There's no, that does talk about working with others. But, so I thought, you don't need a sponsor. Don't even talk about that in the big book. And he said, well, all a sponsor's job is to grab you by the hand, walk you through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and to put your hand in the hand of God. And That, and you know what? Who I talk to a lot still is John Travers. What a great guy. He goes
Geo
out.
sponsor John.
Yeah, he is a great man. I will love him for the rest of my life. He actually changed my life, even though I continued to drink and drug. He never gave up on me. He never gave up on me, and he wrote me when I was in prison. Did his steps with me. Tried to always be there for me. And he came into that jail. I remember a hurricane was coming, and he showed up to a meeting. And he would bring the truth in, and he would take his time and work with us. And out of the drug program we went through in jail, you know how many of us died, how many people in that program is dead? And I was thinking about, going back to Xenia, and I was thinking, a lot of people that I know are dead. A lot of them. I can name some names, and I'm not going to do that today, but, drugs and alcohol kills.
And they kill a lot faster nowadays.
And I tell you something else I heard in a meeting I really liked. It said, my disease wants me dead, but it will settle for miserable. And I'm tired of being miserable, brother. I want to enjoy life and enjoy life to its fullest. And I'm finding that there's a lot of joy in helping other people. And,
one of those
who's to know?
One of those other people, John, who
yeah,
you had left the drug program, and I made plans to go to the halfway house, but I still wasn't like all the way in. And, John would spend time on a Saturday night to talk to every single one of us that wanted to talk after the meetings he brought in. So it's Saturday night. This guy could do anything in the world. He's spending time with us miserable, broken people in a AA meeting in a jail dorm. And I just talked to him. I was like, yeah, I'm getting out on Thursday. I don't know what to do. I'm just rambling. And he's like, have you ever tried it before? I was like, no. He's like, just try. What else could happen? Just try. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. And then I went and sat down. I started thinking about it. I was like, fuck. Yeah, I should just actually try this time. And it made a big difference. And I think back to the first couple nights of that dorm. There was you and a couple other people that would talk about God and talk about staying sober. And on the other side was the people that were snorting pills and admittedly were going to get high as soon as they got out. And they were troublemakers and, talk shit and all this stuff. And I'm right in between. And it's like, this life looks so much better, but this life I'm familiar with. And it's so much easier just to go back with the scumbags and decide to get high when I leave. And luckily it was a little more work, but I picked the right side.
You remember Brian Barnes?
Yes.
Yeah, he's actually doing well too. I talk to him every now and again.
Well, maybe a couple of them will see this.
Absolutely.
And come say hi.
And it's amazing the work that John did. We was talking about John Travers. It's amazing just the people who are clean and sober today, who are sponsoring other people and helping other people because of one man. Yeah. Because one man decided to die himself enough to give his time to try to make a difference. And he has very unselfish motives. He does it because it's the right thing to do. And somebody did it for him. And, I was just thinking about you, Geo, me. We're all, and whoever Geo has helped, whoever you have helped, whoever I have helped, it all comes back because of the time that man spent with us. And it's amazing there's people like that in the world. And that's what I want to do. I'm going to be one of those people. I remember days waiting outside the store at 6:30 till they would open so I could go in and steal me a Four Loko. Insanity. But once I got that in me, then I could figure out what was going on so I could buy me a bottle. So.
I used to have this thing that I played in my head that was called, I'll figure it out. And it's like, I got money to pay the rent or I can get high. Well, I'm going to go get high. I'll figure it out. And I would always have to, I'll figure it out. Well, now I got to steal something. Now I got to lie. Now I got to do this. But I'll figure it out. And I was always just figuring out the next horrible thing I had to do to make up for the last horrible thing I had to do. And it just never stopped. And I'm glad I don't have to figure it out anymore.
No, it's figured out for us, and it's written in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it gives you clear-cut directions. I was given that story about when I got on 75 heading the wrong way, and the reason I tell that story is because it just goes to show I don't follow directions very well. If I'd have followed directions, I'd have turned my ass around, come back up there, I'd never been in a wreck. But the bottom line is that following the instructions given in that book of Alcoholics Anonymous has saved my life. And it's not something that I got to continue to do this stuff. I can't continue to grow as a person, And what's really cool about it, behind each one of those steps, I just thought, they're just some steps, good. I hope it helps some people, da-da-da. And I'd read them. Oh, yeah, they make sense. But, if you work them, and you work them thoroughly, like the book says to do. You develop the principles behind it, and I remember going through this book with my sponsor, and, I'm hard-headed. If he tells me, hey, go home and read the doctor's opinion and call me and we'll talk about it, man, I will scan through that. I'm not getting nothing out of it. And I act like I can because I'm a bullshitter. I can convince you of just about anything. So when he sat down with me, and this for you, Richard. God bless my brother. What a great dude. And that's a great guy,
He's
too.
another John.
Yeah, well, no, not just Richard. But I knew him from Vero Beach as well. A funny story about that, too. But, he's just a good man. But he sat down with me and went through the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, word for word. And I remember when we got to the 12 steps, I said, have you heard about the principles behind these steps? He said, absolutely. That's why I talked about applying these principles. So I said, well, I don't know what they all are. So we stopped what we were doing. We got on our phones and we got to Googling and boom, got the principles for each step. And I wrote them down in my book. And, that's what it's about. It's about when you work those steps, developing those principles and walking at them. And, really, AA, they could change that name to just grow the fuck up. Because that's what it's about. I'm starting to do the things and be the person I was supposed to be all along.
Yes.
And
Tony always says we were taught this stuff as a kid, and at some point we walked away from it. That's the whole point of the program, is that we did not like following directions, and we thought we had a better way.
Oh, I knew what's best for me. I'm the one that walks in this skin. But I seen my track record. My track record wasn't very good, and it showed that I didn't know what the hell I was doing, even though I thought I did. I knew how to get high, and I knew how to drink, and I knew how to do time, and things of that nature. But to live, and I'm realizing that alcohol and drugs weren't the problem. That was my solution, as I read in that poem. That was my cure, and now I'm learning new cures. And helping other people and being useful and applying those principles of honesty, hope, giving other people hope, courage to do the right thing, no matter, and integrity, brotherly love, to be diligent, to be, these things that I never was, and to walk in these principles. And it's godly, to walk in that. And, people call it what you will. You can call it karma. I choose to call it the law of harvest. What goes around comes around. If I plant it, it will grow. And, I planted bullshit in life. Hate, discord, thievery, lies. And that's what I reaped. Mm-hmm. And when you plant something, it don't come back automatically. So I have years of bad luck, and I would call it bad luck, and things that were happening. Oh, why me? Why me? That's because I was planting bullshit in God's garden. As you start to plant love and honesty, and compassion and kindness in daily life, pretty soon your harvest starts coming in and good things start happening in your life. And, that's what it's really about, is to develop a way of living that, and I think a lot of people who ain't in recovery don't get the opportunity to dig deep like we do. So we're blessed. Mm-hmm. We're blessed. And most alcoholics and drug addicts are some of the best, smartest workers. We done talked about it before. If you can hustle all day long and stay drunk and high, you can probably do just about anything or any job.
You put those talents to something good.
Oh my God. It wasn't easy, I tell you. But we made sure it got done. And I tell you what, it's a lot more fulfilling living this way and trying to live by the spiritual principles we have spoke about. Who knows what the future holds? But I know for today, I don't have a whole lot of cares, a lot of worries, and when I do have them, I can just give them to God or talk to somebody. I've met friends in this program that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. I could call you, I could call John, I could call just about anybody, Richard, any time of the day or night. They're gonna pick up the phone and they're gonna listen to me, even if it's bullshit I'm talking about and I'm just venting. They will listen to me. Then they'll tell me what time it is for real, and I might already know the answer. But that getting it reaffirmed helps, and it's good to have. I never knew there was good people in this, because when you're out there in that drug life and that drinking life, it's all about what I can get from you, how you can help me, and it's good that I don't have to live like that anymore.
Well, I wish you luck when you go back. I hope you continue to help others, because you helped me more than anybody else I can think of.
Thank you, brother.
Whatever I do with my life, it's because you decided to help, and I'm so glad you came over. And thank you for everything. And
Well, you can always thank me. You know, I never decline cash contributions, credit card, whatever.
Do you got
it all
Venmo?
works. It all works. Yep, I got Zelle.
Right.
I got Zelle. I got Zelle. Imagine that. I got a bank account. Now that is
I
something.
actually do.
Wow,
I have
can you
insurance
imagine that?
paid, a bank account, a valid license.
And if I want to go get some Red Wing boots, I can go get them. You know, that's a good feeling. When I was drinking and drugging, that was not the case.
I'm glad this time when you came back, you didn't have female assassins after you trying to kill you for an insurance policy, because that
Yeah.
happened once over the phone.
It did.
So I'm glad you came back and did the work, and you're an amazing person. And please continue to help other people when you go to Ohio, because you helped me. And thank you for everything.
I appreciate you, brother. Thanks
Love
for
you,
having me.
man.
Peace.